I'm back on this Stromberg Carlson radio, and we're going to try and put a dial cord in it. I found one on eBay. I was looking for this here, like 0.8mm diameter. Found this Australian guy, and they've included some good info with it. I forget, what is it, 10 metres of it, so plenty. So if we make a mess of this, I can redo it. Or we can do other radios. I forget what it costs now, but it wasn't too expensive. So it's this Jeff Tringove. And we've got a thing on the Historical Radio Society of Australia. 1,200 members in Australia, so that's quite impressive. $50 a year. Hi-fi and television, so they're into everything. And included in this, I think if you want to order it directly, you go to griffin.storage@bigpond.com. So save the guy paying eBay fees. Now that I know that, I'll hang on to that, and if I need any more. Yeah, so this, you definitely want this better stuff, this larger stuff, rather than the small stuff they use in the modern ones. It's usually a bit stiffer too. This is nice soft sort of stuff. They're saying that was originally cotton weave, which fell apart, which is pretty much what happened to the old one. Yeah, don't use the 0.5mm cord as used in 1980 stereos. It'll slip on the drive and dial pointer. Yeah, I assume that stuff wouldn't be much good because it's quite different. Some dial pointer actually ride on the cord, and only genuine cord will allow secure mounting of the pointer. Yeah, well, that's a point too, I guess, while allowing fine tuning of the pointer. Don't buy non-flexible dial cord. It must have the ability to flex tightly around the tuning spindle and do this repeatedly as the spindle is turned. If it can't do this, it will slip rather than grip. Must have the ability to be tied in small, neat knots, of course, which is what we're going to have to do on this big tuning capacitor pulley thing. If it's threaded through cross-drilled control shafts, some Australian Astor Mickeys did this, then you can use 0.8mm with a care provider has been seared. You've got to sear the end of it or something. May find the 0.6mm easier. Yep, before we make a fresh cut, sear the ends to melt the outer weave to the inner core. Roll the end between your moistened fingers before it cools from a smooth end. Which you probably should do everywhere, I guess, anyway. In some cases, you may need to add extra turn on the drive spindle, but only if it slips when correctly tensioned. In other cases, extra turns may cause the cord to overclimb and bind up. Refer to the manufacturer's dial stringing instructions, which I don't have. For no instruction, this is the bit that's really useful. So general rule, use 2.5 turns on the driving spindle and adjust only if necessary. I think that's the one, the actual bit the knob turns. Also, as a general rule, clockwise rotation of the spindle should result in left to right motion of the dial pointer, so basically the same direction as you turn the knob, which is normally normal. There may be some exceptions though, so some radios might actually do it differently. Most importantly, when the dial pointer approaches a high frequency 1500 kilocycle end of the dial, 3AK, 2AY, so top end of the dial, the tuning gang should be almost fully open. If it is closed, you may have got it wrong. So this will rotate you. If we got that clockwise direction, actually that's closing. So when you hit the high frequency end, it should be open. Well, this one's closed at the high frequency end. Well, assuming that, I better find the glass is just over here, isn't it? That's right. Let's make sure we haven't got a backward dial or something weird. It is a backward dial, I think. If ZL's there. Do we have frequencies? We've got meters. Oh, shortwave. So in Victoria, he said 3AY or XY, was it? 3AK, yeah, 2AY. Where's 2? New South Wales, AY there. So this is a backwards one. Oh, that's a new one. I didn't realise that. See, that's the sort of thing you've got to check, and it's handy to have someone who actually knows what they're doing to give you a few pointers, no pun intended, as to where the pointer goes and all this stuff. So, yeah, so it looks like they're all open. So this one is, or is this chassis mounted upside down? I can't remember. I think it goes this way, so it just goes to the, yeah, most of them go across to the right as the frequency gets higher. But this is one of those American design things, I guess, so it's probably a bit backwards. They always like to go the opposite way with their stuff. If enclosed, you may have got it wrong. Reassess our stringing layout. Make sure the dial fitted to the correct one for the radio. I might see wrong dials fitted. Yeah, wrong brand, wrong direction, and wrong scaling. Serving to only fill up the space in the cabinet. Of course, that's the problem with old stuff. And then we've got some diagnosis of trouble with it. The cord banks up on the driving spindle and jams the drive before dial is fully swept. Using too coarse a heavier cord. Know that freebie from the old Venetian blind is simply not suitable. I never thought of that. It's a good idea. Well, it sounds like it's not a good idea, but it's a source of string suitable, well, seemingly suitable for these sort of things. Bit of country repairs. You have excessive turns on the spindle. The driving spindle slips in cord. Cord is incorrect quality. Little or no tension on the spring, because we've got a big spring usually on this thing pulling on one of these strings, or one of the ends of the same string. No spring in circuit at all. Cord is contaminated with WD-40. I said, oh, that's my cord slipping, so I'll lubricate it, is another method of country repairs. It's like my cassette player slipping, so I'll spray WD-40 in it and then everything slips. Or insufficient turns on driving spindle. Happy stringing. Yes, if you want more, email this guy, griffin.storage@bigpond.com. for a quote and possibly a better deal. I offer better price for buyers who direct deposit, so you don't have to pay the eBay fees. I think it was only about $8 or $9 or something, including post. It wasn't expensive. Probably a nice little markup for this guy, because he would have bought a massive roll of this stuff. But I'm happy to pay that for not having to do any more work to find it. So that's the original cord. This is a new one. This one actually might have been ever so slightly thinner in hindsight. Maybe his 0.6 was better, but let's try this out. It's such a small, 0.2 millimeters, I guess. I think this one is slightly smaller by, about 0.2 millimeters. I don't think that should matter. I think we've got to take this front panel off. Oh, we've got that valve attached to that. And the other thing, I did have a quick look at this when the cord turned up. We've got a pulley here, your main bit, so I assume that goes around that pulley, or do we have a second one? Does it go under? It must go under that pulley, maybe. Round, strings across. Where did I put that thing? That obviously, oh no, it sits higher than I thought. This is where it gets really messy. I mean, that must go around that pulley, one would assume. But then, does that get it back into the drum behind this other control? Because there's no other thing, so it must come off this drum or main pulley thing up around that, so it doesn't come out off the top here. Guess that kind of makes sense, because you can't just have it coming up. When we get to this end, we need to go round something and down. So I think that one goes down there, and then on this other end we've got two pulleys, so I assume maybe the front one is the first one to go down. You do your turns, 2.5 turns, you're sewing around the tuning shaft here. It's got a big flat bit. I did have, oh there, this on the front of the panel. You know, that flat bit there is where our 2.5 turns go around, then it must come back up the other side round that second pulley, and that'll then go right across to this main sort of drum here. But we need to get access to the front of this, find the spring, tie the ends on. I think, well, look at, we can do all that with this metal panel removed. I think I have to get these light bulbs out of the way. Oh, they're actually attached to it. We're still probably going to have to get them out of the way, I guess, because they're going to have wires, because I think this whole plate is going to have to go. We need to get rid of the old magic eye that doesn't work very well. Anyway, there was a slight glow there, I think, but it's pretty kaput. And I finally found some of those dial lamps on eBay when I was looking for dial cord. So if you need dial lamps, those screw-in 6-volt things, try looking up dial cord, because I don't think I could find them when I actually looked for them on eBay, and then some people got them in bulk for 10, 20, 30 or something lamps at a time at a reasonable price, so it was getting quite hard to even find incandescent lamps there for a while. But good to see they're still being made by the look of it, because there's definitely a market for them. I know these old radios, I'm not sure if I'll bother doing too many more old radios, but it might be worth getting at least 10 of those globes, and if I was going to do more, I'd probably be worth buying a bigger pack. That is a rusty screw. Oh well, at least we removed a bit more muck out of this thing. Oh, it's super tight. I'm going to wreck that screwdriver, I think. Try a slightly bigger one. That isn't going to bend the end. I think we're going to have to try and rotate this a bit. But maybe even the old side cutters trick. Oops, it's going to slip off. Just grab the edges of it and turn it. Except I can't grab the damn thing, and I'm going to wreck all my fur. There we go. That was super tight. That might be enough even. But it's so easy to chew the heads out on these things. Sometimes you've got to give them a hand. I might even take that off facing up just in case. Oh, there's a shake-proof washer. These, yeah, I reckon these pulleys want to fall off. I've got double springs, so it's definitely not short springs. What's this black goo here? Is that run out? Oh, that might be. No, it's not part of those old rubber things, I don't think. I don't think that's meant to be there. What on earth is it? I have no idea what that lump of tarry stuff is. Was that a piece of something, or is that come out of... Don't know what that is. I think we'll get rid of that. And yeah, these old rubber coated wires are now visible and not looking too good, especially with me fiddling with them. Dial pointer we don't really need to care about yet. The key is to get the rest of it strung up, and it's a good chance to clean a few things. Definitely want to get this pulley clean where the cord's actually going to go. Get that back to nice clean brass. I think we're going to need a bit of scourer or something to do it. Cotton bud's getting off most of it, but that feels a bit tight too, so it's probably a good time to lube the thing as well, I guess. There's bound to be issues like that. I forgot that felt a bit tight. Well, I haven't really turned it was the problem, because it didn't do anything. So having a tight one, well, I guess that shouldn't affect the dial cord really, but it will certainly feel pretty horrible. I mean, all these shafts probably need lubricating, given how old they are. Maybe a little bit of oil down each one, and we've got to go around this bit, so I won't have to clean that as well. Anywhere where the string goes. Quite a bit of black muck coming off that thing. And definitely don't want any grease or anything on there. I guess you could use some brass or something, probably wouldn't be a bad idea as well, but I just want to get the worst of the blobs or whatever black stuff's on there off. Maybe brass would be a better idea. This might be a little harsh, but I don't think it'll matter. It'll give it a nice grippy surface at least, as long as it doesn't shred the cord. And maybe we should even do the same with this a bit. Try and get that back in good condition. Yeah, I certainly wasn't expecting to get any instructions with the dial. Of course, that's really good. It was worth more than what I paid for it just for that bit of advice. I think that certainly gives you an idea what you've got to do. Because I really haven't restrung many things, thankfully, because it can be a real difficult job. Not my idea of fun. So that goes out there. That one must come out this one. And like I say, this I think comes out around this one. Now how much, so that goes as far as that. So I guess we could grab an end of this thing, if I can find it again. And do we need to go around this thing at all? I don't think we do. I think we just come round. Oh, that's got to go under that. It just doesn't really look right, does it? I think we just have to suck it and see a bit here. Around that. I think we have to start the other end so we can wind it up that piece. So that's another good reason to, whoops, fiddle around with it. I guess another thing I probably should do is these almost look like they've been greased or something at some stage. At least clean them. Don't know if they would have had grease on them or anything. Doesn't feel the smoothest. And there's definitely something black on it. Well, I don't like the idea of grease being near a... That's not too bad when it's out a bit. Don't like the idea of grease. Oh, they're quite stiff. They're the sort of thing that could cause things to slip if there's extra friction over what there should be. Light going over the... Yeah, I think that's dried up grease on there. That's handy. So I'm going to have to make sure they get tightened. That one's come loose as well. Make sure they get tightened up properly. Possibly that'll tighten when we tee the screws up on the front, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's quite tight. There was nothing in between these either. Surely that would add a washer or something in there once. Well, I guess the string maybe pulls it out a bit. No, they're not too bad. Yeah, it depends where that one sits. If it goes right down, it's not the best, but I guess it's got the friction of that. Not sure if I really should, but I'm going to put a slight smear of grease on that. I guess even just a lump that the thing can smear around. If the cord comes off, it's probably broken anyway, so it's never going to touch those metal bits unless it's completely got a major issue with it. Completely damaged. And of course that wiped it all down. Put a tiny little bit on there. Well, that's certainly a lot freer than it was. Now I've got to lube this other thing. But at least I've got an idea of what strategy, so we'll go that way, yeah, around the back one, wind it up this thing, back around that one. So okay, we'll have to go around the back. 1, 2, 2.5. Well, it's going to have to come off the other side, isn't it? Does that work? If it's consistent with rotating that up to open, yeah, I think we'll have to wind that one on at the bottom, round, around, around. Now this has got a little felt bit on the back. That's probably our lube point. That would have held a bit of grease, I reckon. Yeah, the whole thing's rather filthy. Not sure I need to pull it completely apart, but it's got a clipped on bit. Was that the one I took off before? I get a feeling I may have already partly... Oh yeah, this is the thing I partly dismantled before. In that case, I think we'll just put some oil on that felty bit. Because usually that felt's there to soak up oil, I think. Well, let's hope so. Because that's what it's doing now. That hasn't really helped a lot. Oh, here it goes. It's starting to get a bit looser. Let's squeeze it a bit, move it around. I reckon put a little tiny bit on the inside as well. I'll have to wipe half that off. Now we're talking. So that's the main friction point there, I guess. I would like it a little freer. Put a bit on the front as well, I think. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Oh, that's really freed it up. So it's catching on that front bit as well. Let's remove the excess oil, I think, before it gets everywhere. Ah, oh, so much freer. Clean whatever that muck is off there. Yeah, ideally you could probably do with a bit on the front as well, but given a bit of working in, that'll probably spread right along it. So we haven't done much dial stringing yet, but that's typical of these old jobs. Yeah, it's not perfectly smooth, but it's at least fairly free. Feels a little bit like there's a bit of friction somewhere. I don't know, it's not too bad. You can hear it make a bit of a noise. Problem is, with the age of it, it could have wear or anything. I think for my purposes that'll do. So we're going to pull this bit through. What are these to stop the spring making noise or something? They're loose, so I think they can probably go. Can we get this spring out easily? Probably got to carefully hook that out. Yeah. Yeah, well that's the easy way, I guess, to copy their knot and slot it. They've obviously tied the knot first and then bent the spring around it. Makes sense. Not sure how you tie a knot like that in a piece of string though. It's like a little noose or something. Are we supposed to see the end of this? It probably wouldn't hurt in a way, but we're going to tie it up anyway. So we make we double it up, and then you must, it's just all that, that's all you do. I think you just double it up like that and then wrap it around itself like a granny knot sort of thing. Like so. That's all that is. Probably a little bit longer, but doesn't really matter. I'll cut that excess. Can we just cut that with some side cutters or something? Not so easily. Oh, there we go. That's simple enough. Oh, probably should have done it on the other side of this first. I don't want to have to put 10 metres through there. Hook it on the spring. Bend our spring back around it so that it can't unclip. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. I don't know which holes are in that one there, I think. Of course, there's a few different holes on this thing, but it's the one below where the tape was. Okay, let's rock and roll here. So that's at fully. Now, which one do I want? The bottom or back pulley? once, twice. Well, that's technically a half turn, isn't it? The exit sort of turn doesn't go right round, so I think that's probably what they mean. We've got to come across to that one. No. Yes. Oh, okay. Where did that one sit? That must sit a bit... Yeah, well, here's my first problem. That's not going to bloody work, is it? If that comes round... Oh, does the pointer hold it there? I guess maybe it does. There's always something. I was thinking the pointer wouldn't matter. I wonder if that pointer's actually got to hold it up. Well, it's not going to hold it up when it's down that end, though. Ah, shoot. Well, that blows my theory out of the water. I was going to go around that, I think, and back down and in there. Well, at least the thing's turning. Of course, we don't have any tension on it, so that's not the best, but if we turn it with this, let's see, that's at one end, so we've got to come back. Yeah, that's not going to bloody... See, that's got to... Shoot. We've got to... Just unwrap. 10.5. Yeah, this is where it gets messy, as so and so. The only thing I can think of is we go around this big pulley, because we need a source of extra string here. Because that's going to, yeah, that's going to wrap round as we go that way. This bit here is going to end up going back around the drum. So I guess the same thing here. We need it wrapped around the drum for extra stuff. But where's the dial actually go to? Because I might just have to cut this and hope I've got it roughly right. It doesn't really look right yet, but I'm going to cut it. Hopefully I don't have to order another lot because I stuffed this whole lot up, but anyway. This is how you got to learn it, unfortunately. Okay, let's see if we kind of keep that tight. See, this is where this is going to hit the end. So that, I've probably got too much turns on one end. Oh, well, if we hit the... No, the tuning cap's got miles to go, we've hardly moved it. So this must have to go round... Let's see, what happens if we put this around as well? This is going to kind of clash with the other bit. And I'll probably cut it just too bloody short, but we might have to undo... I think we might have to undo one wind where I went around this thing for the other direction. I think I put too much... Oh, well, we'll soon find out if we can get that through that hole. Let's just push a loop in there. Pull it through or something. Now we're fully turned. So if that was on the spring, yeah, they're all tied up in each other here, which isn't much good, but that is kind of the gist of it. So I think I need to take one turn off the other side, because yeah, I've got a great big mess of... You've got to get everything in the right spot, and I think 2 turns at the other end is probably wrong. Let's just put 1 turn there, and you've got to get all your string in the right spots. It's like trying to get a brush cutter wire or something to work. Brush cutter line to actually come out the way it should. 1, 2.5. Let's see if we go around. That's going to have to slip over this, going the opposite. If that went, yeah, if that went round, I think that's how I had it, round that way. Yeah, that's it. And in there, yeah, that's our reverse of direction. Okay, let's try again. That is attached to there. We can now, yeah, do our thing. But we do have a bit of a mess here with that sitting on top of this going backwards on it. Does that lift up when we put the dial? When you go down there, it's not going to lift. Oh, is it? No, I don't think so. Doesn't lift it up that far. Yeah, that's not going to lift anything. And as it comes back here, well, that's another problem, is that's got to... How does that even fit through there? Oh, bug, I'm going to have to just make it and suck it and see, I think. At least that works. It does work. Doesn't seem quite right. But yeah, that thing being so low really throws me. But the only problem it causes is this has to sit on... That's what I'm just wondering if the pointer doesn't fix that. Oh well. Oh, now you're saying about these springs. We haven't got any tension on that one, have we? So how do I get some tension on that one? Can I? I think we've got to... Yeah, let's pull that a bit, and I think we can pull it through the system. So I just... Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's got tension. I need to make this one short enough that we've got tension on the other one. I don't know how much tension you're meant to have, but that's probably where the cotton broke. I think maybe we need to mark this. Get rid of the old string there. And to pull the spring up, we need to make the loop, end of loop about there, somewhere around there. We don't want too much tension, I don't think. I'll just mark the string with a black dot. That's our loop point. I think we're going to have to pull it back through anyway. Yeah, so we loop it there, come back a bit. Nearly there, come on, tighten up your little... That's it. Wow, they didn't have... Oh, of course, the bloody knot takes up a whole lot of... Oh, I stuffed that up, didn't I? Didn't think about the knot right at the last moment. Stuff it all up. Because, of course, the knot is going to take a length out of it. So there's a new trick for beginners. Yeah, I should have made that a bit... Allowed a bit extra... That's just our off-cut piece that needs to go. Let's tighten this up. It's not going to be perfect. When the spring is well and truly sprung, or we might be able to transfer that to the other end with a bit of work. Or maybe just rotating everything. I don't know. At least it... Oh, look, something's happening. Oh, we've hit the end. So that gave a bit of detensioning on that spring. Yeah, that's it. So if we pull the other spring a bit, it's sort of filters through the system. Well, at least that's better than what I had. So that pulley obviously is a direction changer, but yeah, I'm still not sure we're anything like where we should be. Let's get rid of that excess bit. To be honest, that probably isn't badly off in the end. Get rid of the old one out of here. Let's see what happens. I have to put the front back on it, at least temporarily. Oh no, we've got wires, rubber coating coming off here, which is what I was dreading. Let's just take that up for now. And they're breaking down the other end. This is a disaster. We're going to have to replace these wires. They've all got beaten up. Oh, I've got to watch this bit on the back sticking out before I damage the cord with that. Just put those top two in for now. These damn lamps. And see what happens. Well, I guess we didn't really leave any slack for the pointer either. Now, I think it's this back wire that comes back that way. Well, they done here. They've got a little horseshoe. Oh, there's a couple of bits of wire. They must, almost like a cotter pin or whatever, that's poked through, I assume. What is this muck? Oh, is that going to mess up? Are they the other ends of it? I do have to unglue the thing. Might be able to loosen that off a bit. I think we have to carefully prise what looks like a little staple, but I assume those, yeah, that's no problem. That comes once you loosen them off a bit. Ah, slight technical problem. I can't now string this one through it, can I? Well, let's sit it on top of that. So that is quite high. Now I've probably got too much, too much tension. Now which wire is it? This front, which string I should say. Oh no, it's going that way. No, wait up, what? I've got this backwards then. Did he say open is high frequency? Because I think I've actually I've done it backwards. Most important, the dial per end of the dial tuning gang should be almost fully open. Oh, well, the problem is which, yeah, well, that depends which string I'm on, probably, because one string's going to go one way. So it must be the back string. So that front string is going to, I don't think, well, it can't be it can't be that string, because I'm not going to be able to get to the high end, because I'm going to hit the, well, that makes, I guess that means the front string, just did on the wrong way around. The front string, that's still not going to work though, is it? This is a lot more complicated than it looks. Because now the pointer goes backwards. Yeah, that will end up right, but at least this one can go right to the end. So if that's about there, the tuning capacitor could do with a good lube as well. If that's mounted like that, it should come all the way to there, roughly. And it should end up all the way, I'm going to mark this because let's put that goes there, and if we come in before them, that's going to be about there somewhere. Let's see if it actually does even go that far. It's going to be close. Yeah, it's just that tuning gang's a bit freaking tight. Yeah, that's hit the spot. Can we get this out and back in again with the plastic in the way? I don't know that we can. It's going to be very hard to get it back in there, I think. It is literally like a cotter pin. That's certainly a different use of one. If we can just get this in. Let's get it there. Ah, nearly went. Oh, here we go. Mark, I think, because we're fully that way. As that mark's damn handy. So if we pull that tight and bend it back over like it was, oh, something's rather tight. And I think we're getting into the tight tuning capacitor. Geez, that thing's tightened up for some reason. Yeah, is that because something's... Yeah, some of this feels like it's scraping on the link. But I've kind of got it working. Better than it was, which was nothing at all. I think we might need a bit of lube on this bit as well. It's actually slipping when it gets towards this end. I suspect that tuning cap's gone super tight, but I'm not sure if that's the tuning cap or it's... Is it because I'm... Yeah, it's because this is too tight. I think that's our problem. I probably need to release the spring. Oh, can you release the spring? You can't really unless I stretch on the springs. This is kind of what I was worried about when this gets here. So I wonder if this is the one that meant to go over the pulley, and this is the problem of not knowing anything about this thing. It would probably make more sense that now, if that went over that pulley, yeah, I think that might be the key. I've got the wrong string over the pulley, I'm guessing. Just to make life difficult. And then it might rejig everything if I take that off, but that's it. Let's move the other end because I've got some room there. So we can leave that inside. That would probably explain why the pulley is low like that, but then what do I do with it? No, wait, I've got to reverse the direction of the other one, so I don't know that I can put the other one over that pulley. Oops. So I think I've made a real dog's breakfast of this one. Because yeah, when that's lifted up, it's actually crossing the other string, which can't be right. It's got to be close. I mean, it's kind of functional. You'd think it'd be on the front string. So maybe I need to Does it make any difference? It doesn't. I think as long as that one goes... And I don't know that we have to be... Because yeah, the other one has to change direction somewhere along the line. So I think that pulley's right. But these ones we might have to actually swap. Well, I went over it again and got it a bit better. But it's definitely not right at the upper end, which is the lower end of the frequency. Because it just gets too tight where it gets in tight to that drum. Can't get the thing fully round. Other than that, it works really well. Though you do notice it moving to the forward of this other, the pulley with the tuning control on it, or tuning knob on it. So it should sort of stay around the middle normally, but it's moving to one end. And that may be because there's too much tension because of that or something. So I've sort of come to the conclusion that maybe there's meant to be a second pulley on there, or maybe there's a way we can set this up using this return, or the string with the pointer on it, round the pulley and back onto this drum and main pulley, and then the other one will have to come, because it can't reverse sort of direction around this thing, it'll have to come off the drum and just come off the top of the drum and go out that way, which is quite possible that it could do that. Because we're sort of coming off the drum to go to this one. It would make more sense, I guess, to come off the drum and go straight to that pulley and have this other one, even though it's still going to be a bit high, just going around this single pulley. And the other thing, I did find that this thing was binding up a bit up near the top end because this is slightly bent or not perfectly flat, and it was catching on the tone control, the nut holding the tone control on this end. So I reckon someone's undone the two screws that hold it onto the shaft of the tuning capacitor. And the problem with that is I actually slid it right forward to see if there was any sign of where it was originally mounted from the marks the screws made, and there wasn't. I've moved it forward and put it back in the same position it was, but that could mean also that these holes in this thing where the strings sort of end and go into the springs, that could be critical where that is, or at least have some effect, and we don't know whether that's been fiddled with. But the main thing is that I sort of realised is you've got to get the two strings that come across to the tuning, well, it's one string of course, but the two bits of string that come across to the tuning control, one has to go forward while the other goes backwards, and of course that relates how they go on the drum here. One's got to sort of come off, like this one's coming off the top in one direction. So the one from the thing here goes onto the drum and round it, I guess, in a clockwise direction. But the other one, which is going around the pulley at the moment, that's coming off in an anti-clockwise direction at the same time. Well, that's winding on in a clockwise direction, I guess. The other one, well, it's going clockwise and coming off, because obviously this only goes one direction at once, but then it comes back around the pulley. So I'm not sure, can we make that come off? That's what I was going to check. Can we make it come off? If we're going clockwise, that's winding on. The other one, yeah, would be coming, if it's wrapped around the other way. No, will that work? It can only come off, I think, if it comes up from under the bottom. Because if it's wrapped around the top here, yeah, no, that's why this pulley... So maybe it is that the second pulley's missing. There's no sign there was a second pulley there. There's only one clean spot on the brass, or lighter spot. So if this one's, if we're going clockwise, and of course I'm turning the pulley that way and the dial pointer's going that way, so that's also possibly wrong as well. I had it right the first time, I think, but then I changed how I've got the string down this end. Yeah, I think I had the other one on the back. This back string on the back of the tuning thing, so that's just a matter of swapping sides with that. Yeah, it's quite a confusing one, but it definitely doesn't work, because when I come up here to the tuning gang closed end, it's getting a real angle down to the pulley because it's catching up with that. And it's just getting too tight to get right to its end position. So there's quite a bit to these things, and trying to visualise them in your mind, what should go which way, yeah, near impossible with so many moving parts. But I did actually, when I put this, I restrung it, changed something. I think I changed which, or got this on the front string instead of the back one or something, and got rid of some, there was a twist in there somewhere. And I ended up with about half a turn around that drum extra to cut off. So I retied it onto the spring. And like I say, it's basically working, but it's still not right. I think part of that is, yeah, I need to, yeah, the way I'm turning the knob is going the opposite way, so I missed that I'd put that back on the wrong way. Because you don't want to be turning clockwise. Well, you'd assume that if you're turning clockwise, that should go up. It doesn't have to. But other than that, it's kind of working, and at least I fixed that binding problem where it was hitting this nut on this thing. It was just down too close to the bottom there, and the edge of it, at least on part of it, must have been slightly tilted. I did bend it back a little bit, still caught a little bit. So I thought there's no way in the factory they had that thing so far down to the front there. Could probably bend that up out of the way too a bit. So it's getting there, but it's not really getting there. I might have to restring the whole thing. But I don't think there's a way I can get this upper string around the pulley, Because if it's going that way, the other one has to come back. But that's right. That's sliding over the pulley. Yeah, it has to wind on backwards. The only way would be to drop it right down, which I don't think you can do, but maybe it went diagonally. That's the only thing I can think of, is it went diagonally off this pulley right down under the drum, basically, which is not impossible, because I don't think it can come to the top. So this is why a diagram is very helpful when it comes to stringing these things. Well, let's go down the other end where it's got a little bit more flex there, and we can slide this thing off. And we'll have one more go at it, maybe. But that's kind of 2 stringings I've done now, and still not right. So it's certainly a learning process. But yeah, trying to visualise all the moving parts, how each string goes on them. I'm not bad at doing that sort of thing normally, but this is kind of beyond what I can do. I'm slowly getting the hang of it. As you work on it, you sort of realise more and more parts of how this thing's meant to work. So yeah, this back string may have to come straight down and under. Let's see, if that went under, it would be coming off at the moment, which is what we want. It to be going that way. And yeah, this one, instead of going around the pulley, so it's the other one would be coming around the pulley and back up there. And the problem is, once you take it off, it just confuses the hell out of you. But that might also explain... So what's pulling this? This is pulling forward because of the 2 pulleys. I think we've got it. It makes most sense, I think, if the 2 pulleys are roughly the forward ones, and this is on the string that's at the forward, but it doesn't make any sense that it comes down onto the drum. So I think we're going to have to kind of rebuild this all again. And these, when you're fiddling with it, these pulleys like to come off and stuff, but the good thing about the pulleys coming off is you can detension it easy. Yeah, and that should have gone around the other way. So the front one wants to go around both pulleys. So let's get this other one off the pulley. And then you've got all this loose string. That makes it even more confusing. Should we have the other one going that way? Should these cross past each other? I don't think it even matters. I don't think we have to take it off the spring. So this will then come over the front pulley, and it has to come off this side, I think. The big problem is I can't really wind this on backwards. We need to get the other one. So the other one I'm saying comes diagonal now, and of course it catches on everything in here, given half a chance. Yeah, we're going to have to move that one anyway to get the other one back behind it. And on the back pulley, this goes on the front pulley, but of course none of it will stay there, and then this pointer can be hard to get back on with the front panel on because there's all this metalwork hanging out the back. So this is my new kind of design, and that's already come off that pulley, typical. So we need to get that back one on first, and we're going to have too much string here now, I think. So who knew radios had such... I think if I put this one on this side and wrap it round, we should get the direction going the right way again, because that's how I originally had it, and somehow I swapped it last time I did it. And this is where we have trouble because we've got too much string now, but we won't get too excited about that just yet. Let's see if this thing is roughly... Well, the string is certainly going to end up a lot shorter. Yeah, turn it anti-clockwise and it should slide to the left. Even though we don't have enough tension here to do much. That probably needs to... Now, can we use this? No, because the more comes out there each time we do it. We're going to have to shorten one of these strings, I think. Now, will that give enough? Yeah, I think that'll work, because that'll, depending where we put the pointer, it should have plenty of length to go back that way. So we're going to have to pull, I think, this pointer string. And of course, the pointer will probably have to be redone again. Easy enough to loosen it off and slide it along. I don't know if I can even keep these on here. But I need to, because we need to get an idea of how much string we need. Does that matter? As long as we don't hit the end. But I can move the pointer to see. I just don't want to hit the end of this string. Yeah, that's going to be lifted up by the pointer sitting up here somewhere, so I won't touch the drum. Then it's got to come back. We're going to have to loosen our bloody pointer. Look at that little shite trying to escape. Let's just loosen the pointer so we can get that back around there somewhere. And of course everything else will probably come off. Let's just sit that. Now that should be where, and of course, where we've got to get the actual, so it is critical where these strings, see these strings, that's what worries me. So that's going to be right up there. If I use, if I use either one, the other one's even worse. So I suspect this pulley has to be rejigged as well. And this has got to come out. This has got to come out and up and around that. So that definitely fits in there, which is good. But yeah, we need this. When the thing is shut, I think we need to rotate this round so that it's not up in the air like that. Oh well, here goes nothing. I guess I should mark, if I can, where it originally was. Let's do a marking. Because you don't know if someone's been in here fiddling with stuff. It's always a possibility with this old stuff. And in fact, even likely. So the pointer's fully this end, I think, at the moment, isn't it? Because we're fully rotated. So I actually want to come back a bit. So I'm probably getting everything completely out of whack compared to where it should be, but anyway. I'll make this thing work one way or another. Whether it's the right way or I invent a new one, I'm not sure. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So that, when it's fully round, it came off the bloody spring. Well, that needs tightening better. Of course it did. Be just my luck to get all this together and then have something like that happen and completely forget how I did it all. This spring is very hard metal. I think that's got it. Yeah, so that's rotating anti-clockwise. Basically, the tuning thing should turn the same direction as the pulley here, which means we've got to come, this string has to go on the right side of it, basically the back side of it. Thank God for digital tuners. Yeah, these strings like to cross over each other and all sorts of, that one's now trying to do it again. You name it, it goes wrong with these things. But of course we've got no pull, but yeah, when you turn that way, it turns that way. Yeah, that's what we want. This should come across between the two pulleys. I should have put that on very last, but it's kind of helpful to see what you're doing and whether it's working. And then this has to come in. Now, is that enough string to do the whole thing? Is the next question. Or do we need to loop it around once? I suspect that's not going to be enough string if I Yeah, because if I don't have a length of string there, we need enough string to get the full tuning cap. Yeah, no, it's going to pull right up there, so I think I actually should have had another loop. I've shortened the string too much now. I think the way it was before, I think it was the perfect length, but of course I cut that off. We'll see. I didn't really test it, but I don't think we got enough. So we're at the bottom end here somewhere. We need enough string, which means this has to go all the way around, and it's not going to bloody do it, is it? It's not. Oh wow, we've got springs, haven't we? Ooh, maybe with some spring work I can sort of stretch that right. So we need extra length there so that we can pull it out here somewhere. Well, I think this kind of works. Assuming that the front panel still goes on. So we've got which one's which. I think this spring goes directly around there, across on the other front pulley to the left side, and then winds down to the back one, back across, and that goes directly to the spring. So this other one has one turn on it. So this spring goes round once, then round the pulley. That's where we get our extra length from. And these strings on here just somehow climb over the top of each other and do all sorts of weird stuff. But anyway. And they are moving up and down this shaft, but we're going to have to put the front back on so I can work out where the needle goes. And the needle is a bit of a pain because it's so long. This time I think it's going to be alright. Last time I got jammed behind everything. As long as I've got to check that all this metal work for mounting the Magic Eye doesn't foul anything. But that must be something like what it is. Though I had to move the pulley on the tuning capacitor to achieve it, so who knows. God, have we got that much tension on here? Probably got too much tension. I wonder if that's bending those posts inwards. It might be. Just ever so slightly. And the lamps are going to need rewiring anyway. Let's tighten them up a bit. That was not even close. I thought I'd just try and restring it so it actually is functional again, but yeah, what a job. Now we're going to put even more tension on when we put this on, of course, because it's going to pull this string higher. Now my marking is that it should be about there. So if you just get some side cutters or pliers and pull this in tight and bend it back over, that should stop the pointer sliding on the string. Ooh, still a bit tight at that end. Very tight, really. Let's put a knob on there. Yeah, that's rather tight, and it is slipping on the pointer there a bit. So I don't know if that's just the friction on there. Let's see. That goes a bit further anyway. I had a feeling there should be more there. It is quite a tight thing. I don't like the way this wood slides on the metal, but maybe we need to lube that a bit. Got to pull that real tight, I think. Anyway, I don't want to overdo it yet. Yeah, it starts, it's like there's too much friction there, or it's the downward pressure, not sure. But you can do it with one pulley by the look of it. And that string just misses the bracket. Yeah, that's, not sure which note on the guitar that is, but that's definitely too tight. But at least I found the path for it now. That just keeps slipping into the future. Oh, I haven't cleaned that bit properly. That's got some dried up grease or something. Where's that scourer? Only gave it a quick light clean, and lots of rust on there. Yeah, well, lots of rust right the way along, really. And I got rid of my marking, unfortunately, but that's actually fixed it, I think. Stopped it slipping, so it is just friction on the top here. Oh, I'll mark it down a bit lower, so I've got at least one of them. Because I don't really need both ends marked. It's almost a coppery colour coming up on there. I guess that's where they've tinned the... I wouldn't have thought they'd tin the dial since the chassis they'd tin so they can solder to it. Don't think you need to solder to this bit. Still sounds like that's grating on that thing there. Maybe it's the actual tuning capacitor probably needs a lube as well. Something around there starts... That's still hitting that pot, I think. My God, even after I... Yeah, well, the mounts on the actual tuning cap probably affected as well. Or did I let that slide back? I probably let it slide back when I can't easily get to one of the screws. I bet the bloody thing slid back. Yeah, it slid backwards, I can see it is. So we're going to have to try and get this pulley back out a bit. It must have a tendency to move inwards. That's it. Yeah, that string's got a lot of tension, which doesn't help. And I don't know that I can really tighten this from here. That's kind of getting it. That might be right. I think we might put a bit of grease on there and get the wood to soak up some grease. That might help. And some on the top. Oh, that made it slip a bit better. Probably have to adjust it fully when the dial's in place anyway. I'm not sure that's meant to have grease on it, but for the sake of getting this thing going, it's going to now. I don't think this radio is tuning 100% anyway, and we should really try and lube this. You can actually undo a nut on the end there, maybe get a little bit of oil in some of these bushings or bearings or whatever they are on the ends of this. Oh, there's actually ball bearings in there. I'm going to drip some oil so the front part of that tuning cap has a nice little ball bearing collection in there, and they'll be as dry as anything. I think in the middle it's just got like metal spring things pushing against it, so they probably don't really do much to add friction. Oh, that oil went in somewhere. I don't know if it's really made much difference, maybe a slight bit. Still doesn't feel the greatest. Probably wants a double oil down the back end as well, but not enough to run everywhere. Oops, did that go on it or did I miss it? I think I got the IF can mostly. That's why I normally put it on a cotton bud or something, because as soon as you tip this bottle over, it's heading out. Oh, that feels a little bit better, I think. Still not the greatest, but that's, I think the rest of it is just, yeah, too much tension. This definitely feels tight. From the string being too tight. But every other bit of tension we get rid of, or friction, the better. So we need to pull this thing apart again and actually draw out a diagram of where it actually runs, and then restring it. At least I've got the old one as a length, I guess. I can just make the new one slightly longer. I think I had the springs maxed out or something on this. And that's the problem with not touching it for a while. You forget what you're doing. Yeah, that's really tight. That's right, I lube that up with a bit of grease. Yeah, hopefully nothing springs off before I get a diagram. Oh, that's right, these I've got to watch these little pulleys don't come off. So what do we got? We've got the main drum. I think they normally draw them as like a 3D thing, don't they? We've got a spring through there, a spring on that side. We've got a pulley about there. We've got another pulley, double pulley. Not sure how we're supposed to draw that, but let's just, maybe we'll make them a bit three-dimensional. Not a very good job. And then we've got the tuning drum here. Maybe we'll draw that a bit three-dimensional. I'm pretty sure that's how they used to do them. Give it a bit of a 3D sort of look. So that's the knob. I guess if we start with from the rear pulley, we come down onto that side, rear, we have two turns, 1, 2, then we come back up here over the outside of the inner pulley, how we determine, I probably should have used a different colour pen. That's on the rear, front, front, probably kind of obvious. Now the front one comes across, we've got our pointer, it touches the top of this thing and goes around that pulley, comes onto this thing at the rear, and keeps going. See if I can't tell what's what here. it keeps going. I've actually got them flipped over each other, which I shouldn't be. But the important thing is it goes right round once. Around once and then to the second spring. And of course, all in black pen, it's absolutely useless, really. I should have done this at one end, probably, shouldn't I? That is a problem. That's right hand end. Tuning closed. One turn around and then it goes into this spring. All hand spring. So the right hand spring comes out. Oops, don't touch it. Right hand spring just comes straight out, is that correct? And yeah, it's wrapped around the other one, which is wrong. Right hand spring comes out, round, and over the rear pulley. Onto rear pulley. I've actually got a red pen here if it works. So this one comes in red, up here, rear pulley, down. This one comes across to there. So it skims the drum. Then it goes on. Well, not the most useful diagram on earth, I guess, but that's enough to get us where we need to be. I guess the only other useful information would be to actually, I'm going to take that out. This is a bit of a pain too from memory. Maybe I should string that through. Is to get the length of the string. I don't think they ever gave you lengths, but it would be nice to know how long the string is meant to be to start with. So I guess, do we just slip it off the spring and start again? Of course the spring, when you hold it, it squeezes your skin when it closes. And I think one of the mistakes I made too was forgetting about when you tie the knots in these, of course it changes the length of the string. Because it's got a knot in the end, I can't slide this off anyway probably, without cutting a knot off. Or maybe I can untie one. Some ways I probably should have started threading the old one after the new one after the old one. Now, which end is that on? Let's start her again. I think I've got plenty free to do the job. We want a bit extra. I might even just chop it there somewhere, just so I don't have to deal with too much stuff. Let's go through this. That was the first mistake I made last time, is not going through the dial bit, and then I had to thread that little split pin. Let's push that back in, which was a pain to get back through the hole. Yeah, I've done it up too tight now, haven't I? Now I need to tie on those little knots in it. At that end, do I need to double a little bit more? I don't know if we waste a little bit, I guess. Now I can't do it. I'll leave that little bit on there for now, I guess. So that did a loop once around, one turn around drum onto the left hand spring. It skimmed it, went across here. Although I guess the smart way would have been just to poke this in rather than trying to get it around the drum yet. Let's squeeze that a bit tighter. Oh, we're at left hand side. So it's the left hand, it's the other side spring. Get that on there. I'm trying to bend that so it can't possibly come off again. So there's no gap there. That's close to small enough, I think. And we've got to come. Come on. I've gone way too far, doesn't really matter. Round it once. We should try and get it so that when it overlaps, if it overlaps at this end, it's in front of itself. Around the pulley. We can't really ensure it's in front of itself, I guess, if that thing's like that. Don't know that it matters that much. That needs to be down there somewhere. Probably should move it forward a bit so we're not dealing with that. I can go behind there maybe. We go on to the front pulley. Oh, I've done this the wrong way in a way too, because I need to wrap that bloody thing around backwards. Well, is there a way of winding? Well, we can just go in behind it, I guess. Wind it from the front, behind itself. Again, is it 2 turns and then off? I think we've got to go full 2. Yeah, we can wind it backwards. But I'm trying to make sure we get this actually all in the right order. And then we've got to go behind again. Go around the back one, around, then down. This is the one that, of course, I'm in the wrong side. Goes under. We've definitely got plenty of length this time, so that's something. The critical bit is we want this in front of the other one, I think. Problem is this other one doesn't really have much discipline as to where it goes. Now we really need to stretch this thing out a bit. Try and get that spring stretched out a bit. Not sure it matters at this point, but so this is the critical bit, is trying to work out where this loop has to go. So we're going to come up through that hole. We want the loop down here somewhere. If that spring stretched there, probably about there. We need to get the joint about there. Now does this This will make it slightly shorter, of course, and maybe we'll go a little longer. Problem is, once you get these knots in, very hard to undo them again, but probably not impossible. It's ended up a bit short, maybe. I don't think that really matters, but as long as the loop bit, it's close. I suspect I made it a little bit shorter than I intended. Certainly a fiddly job. I don't think anyone enjoys doing these things, but maybe someone likes the challenge out there. I certainly don't enjoy it much. Let's stretch the spring. Come on, get on there, that's it. Oh, this is looking very nice actually. I think if we've got enough tension and not too little tension, and this has to be moved to the right spot, of course. Let's get it closed. I forget, I've got to put that other bit of metal on for the marking. Just watch these pulleys don't come off. They really want to. I think that's pretty good. A little bit of, not really slippy. It should slip a little bit so you don't break the string or whatever. And the pointer just stops. See, I think this was the problem I had before. It seems to move along, but I haven't attached it yet, so can't expect to. I think it's when it hits this thing probably is what, yeah, that would make it slip. I think I've actually got that pretty good, which is a massive relief, I must say. Springs aren't too tightly tensioned, but they're not. Yeah, so that's not playing like a guitar string. That's why it's nice to get some extra cord, because when you're an amateur at this, you're bound to stuff something up. And I ironically had a little bit extra cord the first time, and I cut it off thinking I had it right, and then I had to rejig the whole thing this other way around. Yeah, as long as I don't bump into that, that even loose is staying where it should. I do have to fix that wiring on those lamps, but let's not touch that for now. We'll probably have to replace that completely. And we've got this big thing sticking out the back, which was a bit annoying. Let's crank it further that way. Watch these pulleys don't drop off. And I think you had to get this over while you're at it. Ah, I think my marks have gone. Oh well, I'll have to get the glass out again then. I had marked this front panel. Maybe I think when I put the grease on, might have wiped it off. Oh, and I was meant to order a capacitor for the amplifier, I think, or a few capacitors. Might as well change a lot of them, I guess. That's right, these things tend to close up a bit. I think when I suspected that my tight dial cord was even pulling them closer together, these screw mounts. It was so tight. Now it does fit quite well if you loosen the other one off a bit. Let's tighten them up pretty well. Probably should really put some bottom ones in, but we won't worry about that. I think we just had a little bit of slippage there, but it's not surprising when it gets to that end. And yeah, it gets a little tight. Okay, that's... Gotta find the glass. And I was going to make some mounts up for this, and that's another thing I didn't get around to doing. Just going to try and cut something out of some rubber. We're right on the bottom end, right on those numbers on the channel there. It's going a bit weird there. What's going on there? It's catching on the glass. Oh, I guess this glass is sitting down too low, isn't it? That's part of the problem. But I've got one corner in. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It looks like it hits the numbers. And I guess we don't want that scraping on those letters in case it starts trying to rub them off. Yes, that's a little bit too far that way, maybe. Doesn't want to move, of course. I think that moved the whole thing, did it? So I think the end of these lines is basically it. These horizontal lines going across. Let's tighten it there. I think I was just using the side cutters to really pull that tight. Where's the little bit there? Like so, and fold it over. Should be careful, I'm going to cut the end of those a little bit too much. They're probably going to break off if I wobble them around much more. Not the brightest way of doing it. Anyway, let's just do it like that. At least this is slipping along now that I lube the tuning gang and this piece here that it slides on. That's much better. I think that's pretty good. A lot better than it was anyway, so whether that counts as a proper repair, you're right on the end of that yellow line. And hopefully it doesn't move at all. Oh, a little bit lower than that one now. As long as it doesn't change each time, I'm pretty happy with it. It does if you really push, go a little bit beyond it. And who knows how this glass isn't exactly sitting perfectly anyway because of the missing mounts. Yeah, that's good. I think we fixed it. So I've got to make some rubber mounts. I've got to get some capacitors, but I'm really glad I finally got back on and did that. Got to rewire these lamps. And yeah, we can put our valve back in place, I guess. Our tuning thing, we really need a new one of them as well, but I won't worry about that at the moment. So that's awesome. Been meaning to get in and do that and just haven't had the time or the motivation in the right combination. Not really a fun job, but that's come up pretty good. I think they're not clashing underneath there. One sort of crosses over the other. Probably not a lot we can do about that. Well, that one's in front of that one, so even though it goes to the rear pulley, that's kind of how it works. That's all good. Excellent.